All right, today we're going to tackle something that trips up so many people asking questions in English. And I'm not just talking about the basic rules you learned from a textbook. We're going to uncover a single powerful secret that changes everything. Ready? Let's dive in. So, there's this line from the show The Last of Us. A teacher tells her students, "You're going to use this for the rest of your lives. You have to trust me." Now, if you've seen this show, there's a tragic irony there, right? Most of them don't have much of a life left. But the writers put that line in for a reason, because what she was teaching was one of those fundamental lifelong skills. And that's exactly what we're going to master today. And this is the big mystery we need to solve. Why on earth do we say, "Who do you like," but then turn around and say, "Who likes you?" They look almost the same. One has do, the other doesn't. It feels like the rules just break. It's a super common point of confusion, but I promise, by the time we're done here, you're not just going to know the answer, you're going to feel it. Okay, so before we get to the big secret, let's do a quick refresh on the standard rules. The stuff we all learned in school. This is the textbook method, and is probably what you're already familiar with. It all starts with two kinds of verbs. And at first, it seems pretty straightforward, right? If you have a be verb, like are in you are happy, you just flip the first two words. Are you happy? Easy. For pretty much every other verb, what we call general verbs, you just call in for backup. You add do, does, or did right at the beginning. You like music becomes do you like music? Simple enough. So far, so good. And then, bam, they hit us with this, the special exception. They tell us, okay, when you have a question word like who or what, it goes at the start. And yeah, it usually follows that do, does, did rule. But if that question word happens to be the subject of the sentence, then you just don't use do. You're just supposed to memorize that. And I don't know about you, but that always felt so unsatisfying to me. Like, why? It feels like we're missing a piece of the puzzle. And guess what? You're absolutely right. There is a missing piece. Because that so-called exception, it isn't an exception at all. It's actually the totally logical result of a much deeper, much more elegant principle. And that's the real lesson for life we're about to get into. So here's the key. Some really smart middle school teachers in the US have this brilliant little trick. Instead of trying to build a question out of thin air, they teach their students to do something else first. Turn the question back into a simple statement. Just imagine what the answer would look like. Okay, look at this. This little trick makes everything so much clearer. The question we all know is, where are you going? But if we think of it as a statement first, it becomes, you are going where? See? We put the question word at the end, right where the new information would naturally be. And now we can see its real job in the sentence. Where is just an adverb, telling us more about the verb going. And this whole idea of moving words around, well, that leads us directly to the real rule that's running the show behind the scenes. And here's the thing. It's not a question rule at all. It's a much bigger, more powerful concept in English called inversion. And trust me, this is the aha moment. So what is inversion? In Korean grammar, it's known as dochi, and it's basically a two-step process. Step 1, you take a word that you really want to emphasize, and you move it right to the front of the sentence. Step 2, you have to signal that you made that move. And how do you do that? You swap the subject and the verb. That's the signal. I love this analogy. Think of it like leaving a marker on a hiking trail. Let's say you're leading a group and you find a better, quicker path. You might leave a little stack of rocks on the old trail to let everyone behind you know, hey, I changed the path. The important stuff is over here now. That little stack of rocks, that's exactly what the swapped subject and verb are doing. They're just a signal, a marker that says something was moved from its original spot. Let's look at a super common example that isn't even a question. Your friend says, wow, I love this music. Now, you could just say, I like it too. That's fine. But to add a little more punch, a little more emphasis, you say, so do I. You see what just happened? The word so jumped to the front for emphasis. And to signal that move, the helper verb do showed up and swapped places with the subject I. That's inversion in action. Okay, now that we're armed with this powerful idea of inversion, let's go back to our original mystery. Let's solve the whole who do you like versus who likes you problem once and for all. Applying this new logic is going to make it all click into place. All right, let's break down who do you like step by step. First, we start with that statement form we learned. You like who. The word we're curious about, the word we want to emphasize, is who. So step 2, we move it to the front. Now we have who you like. But wait, we moved something, so we have to leave that signal, that trail marker, right? So step 3, The helper verb do jumps in and swaps with the subject you. And there it is, the final, perfectly correct question, who do you like? And now for the big reveal. Let's use the exact same logic for who likes you. What's the statement form here? Well, it's just who likes you. The question word, who, is already at the front. Why? Because it's the subject of the sentence. It didn't have to move anywhere. And if there's no move, you don't need to leave a signal. It's that simple. No move, no marker, no inversion. And this just lays it all out side by side. Look at the top line. Who starts at the end as the object, so it has to move. And that move triggers the do signal. Now look at the bottom line. Who starts at the beginning as the subject. It doesn't go anywhere, so no signal is needed. That special exception we were told to memorize, it wasn't an exception at all. It was just a case where the rule of inversion didn't need to be used. So what does this all mean? It means we can stop trying to memorize a bunch of separate, confusing rules and exceptions. Instead, we can just understand the one powerful principle that's actually in charge. And that shift in thinking, well, it changes everything. And just look, this logic works for every single question you can think of. When did you see him? That comes from the statement, you saw him when. The word when moves to the front, so the signal did pops in and inverts. What is your job? Comes from your job is what. What moves, so is and your job swap places. See? It's a universal principle. So this is really the key takeaway here. Stop thinking of this as a question rule. It's not. Start thinking of it for what it really is, a tool for emphasizing a word by moving it to the front of the sentence. That's the whole game. And once you get this, you start to understand more natural, real-world English. You know how when you're really surprised by something, your friend says, I'm dating your old boss, and you reply, you're dating who? You didn't use inversion, did you? That's because you weren't asking a normal question. You were expressing shock by keeping the emphasis on that last word. It just goes to show you these rules are way more flexible than we think. They're tools for communication, not rigid formulas. So I'll leave you with this final thought. What if asking questions isn't about memorizing a long list of rules and exceptions at all? What if it's just about one simple decision? Which word do I want to emphasize? Once you understand that single principle, you don't just fix a tricky grammar problem. You unlock a much more intuitive, powerful, and natural way to speak English.